Well, hey, good evening, guys. Sorry for the lateness. I hope you all didn't show up and decide there's nothing going on and then leave. I certainly hope that's not the case. Who am I hoping all of this? Well, I am Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. It's good to see you, and it is good to be seen by you. And of course, tonight's stream is brought to you by our friends at Hellabard Games. Hellabard makes the kind of adventure games they would like to play, whether it's for 5th edition, for OSR rules, or for Castles and Crusades. Old school is in play at the table, and you can check them out on their website at hellabardgames.com or on Drive-Thru RPG. That's Hellabard Games. And you should definitely check them out because we love us some Hellabard Games around here. Yes, we do. So we've got a lot of fun lined up for you tonight, folks. We're gonna kind of continue looking at Dragon Magazine number 3, but we are also going to get into some classic Gamma World tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't seen our live streamed games, they're pretty darn good, you know. No scripted events here. Just stuff happens to player characters, and we let the dice fall where they may. So I hope you will all stick around to watch that. Now, normally this would be where I would say, okay, it's Friday, we're going to do this, this, and this. And then Monday, of course, you know, we'll do this. And then Tuesday and talk about next week. Next week, we have got normal streams Monday and Tuesday. But Wednesday, I won't be here. But you will get some content from me. How, you may ask? Well, I will be at GaryCon, thanks to the efforts of several wonderful people. My wife and I will be attending GaryCon. That's right, me and Mrs. the Dungeon Delver will be at GaryCon, and I will do a daily vlog once GaryCon gets going. I'll share a few pictures and whatnot from around Lake Geneva. We're salient, we're appropriate. But once GaryCon gets rolling on Thursday evening, of course, I'll be over there, you know, having a lot of fun. I'll do a walk around video. Maybe I'll do just some short clips. You know, if some of the folks that I've had on the show before are there, like I know Alan Grohe, who we had on the show to talk about Greyhawk lore and AD&D lore, will be there. So will Paul Stormberg. So will Alan Hammock. Darlene will be there. Jim Ward will be there. John Popson, whom we haven't talked to in a minute or two, he of Effing Cool Minis will be there. And if I can corner any or all of them for a short video to say hi to you guys, I will upload it and I will share it with you. But I hope I'm going to be able to get into some games. I gotta see what's still open. But all that's happening next week. That is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next week. Now, Sunday, the con will still be going. You know how it is with cons of any kind, conventions, confabs of any kind. There's that initial kind of lazy, hungover burst of let's get in a little bit more fun Sunday morning to late morning. But you know how it is. By 1 o'clock, everybody's gone, right? You know, I mean, you might have the diehards. Like, let's say it is some kind of gaming convention. You might have the diehards who are still with the countenance of the place, occupying a table in one of the hotel restaurants, wrapping up their game as long as they're not being too loud, and they'll kind of continue on to the afternoon till they yawn and stretch and have to hop on cars, buses, and planes and trains and get on home. Yeah, but you know, if you're talking about like I don't know, some kind of work conference, it's like continental breakfast. You know, Bob Smith will be giving his talk on, you know, PowerPoint in the future between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. And at 1, the conference officially ends and nobody's going to be at Bob's thing. He knows that. but yeah, gaming con, you'll have kind of those stragglers who sort of close the thing down. Well, I have been invited to game at the residence of a resident of Lake Geneva Sunday afternoon. So I'll still be getting my game on afternoon into evening at the Gygax Garland residence. That's right. Heidi Gygax and her husband Eric will be hosting myself and the missus for a little bit of gaming fun. And we're really looking forward to that. And then we come home Monday, so there won't be a Monday live stream. Like, I think touchdown here is like sometime around 10 o'clock. You guys are not getting a live stream on Monday. It's just not going to happen. I mean, I'm sure you don't want a bleary airport walkthrough as we dash to our connecting flight back to Orlando. So yeah, I'm sort of stoked about it. Greetings, Starlaw. Hello. Ken Robison. Good to see you. Lux. Hello. Robert. A wizard is never late. I was a little late tonight, and I apologize. I was cooking dinner for the fam. Dinner finished right about the time it was time to start the show. So that means I don't get any. I'll try and scrounge something up. I'm functioning on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, glass of milk, 3 cookies, and a handful of Doritos today. Just carry a GoPro on a hat and go live. Nah, it'll probably be my phone. I don't have the wherewithal for a GoPro, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll take some pictures out there. It'll be good. Maybe I'll get me one of them sticks for my camera phone so I can pan it around. RPG Grandma, finally done. Now going to start the journey home. Hand in pink waving, so listening in. Well, hand in the air waving. Enjoy listening in. The Dinner of Gamer Champions. That's right, Mad RR Conductor. The Dinner of Gamer Champions. So that's kind of my plans for the coming days. And I'm stoked. I'm a little bit nervous. Looking forward to seeing me at GaryCon. Seeing me at all right. Okay, I was misreading what you were saying, Lightmate. It's pretty cool. Now, I went in 2018. I mean, the difference between 2018 and now, I'm not talking about at GaryCon, but the difference between me now and 2018 me, that's huge, because I didn't really start streaming, remember, until 2020, until like this time in 2020. My first live stream, what is today's date? Today is the 17th. The 17th. So technically tomorrow is the 3rd anniversary of me doing this as a community service to you guys. It was a long time ago. Now, if it were not for GaryCon, I would, in all likelihood, be live streaming for 24 hours tomorrow. Like, I would start at 10 o'clock at night, or possibly even 9 o'clock at night, and just drive all the way through to 9 o'clock Sunday. The reason I'm not doing that, is when you get to a certain age, boys and girls, staying up for 24 hours requires a couple of days of recovery. It really does. It's not just like, well, I stayed awake for 24 hours. I slept for 7.5. I'm good to go. It does something to the old brain chemistry. And so as a result, I can't back up the scramble to be ready to travel. Like, I have pre-travel anxiety. I go a little bonkers getting myself mentally ready to travel. I don't like flying. I wouldn't say I'm per se afraid of it, but I don't like it. I don't like the airport experience. It fills me with kind of an anxiety. Did I forget something? Will I forget something? Am I going to get pulled out for random check by the TSA? Which has happened before, not to me, but to my wife. And it's a funny story because I was at Lake Geneva Gaming Con, and my editor met me up there, and he gave me a stack of used laptops. This was right at the dawn, right at the end of the Pentium 2 era, and at the dawn of Intel going, hey, instead of 1 physical core and 2 to 4 virtual cores through hyper-threading, what if we put 2 physical cores on the CPU? Oh, and also abandon the Pentium 4 architecture entirety because it's a toaster oven, and it is actually not much faster than the Pentium 3. So we got the Core Duo machines next. But he gave me a bunch of Pentium 4 machines, laptops. One was this awesome Toshiba gaming laptop that had a built-in 256 meg Radeon, like 9200 video card. That thing was huge. It was a desktop replacement. This absolute beast of a Sony laptop, a little tiny Sony VAO like Subnote that was amazing. Another Toshiba that was kind of sort of a gaming laptop, but not a powerful one. And I want to say there was one more, but the point is, taking 4 laptops plus my wife's laptop, which was a multimedia gaming laptop she used for school. She was doing classwork while we were at Lake Geneva Gaming Con. So I had 5 laptops in my luggage. And they're just like, just take it out, put it in tray, just get it down as fast as you can. This doesn't look sus at all. This does not look sus at all, right? 5 laptops. But they're just getting these things down the conveyor belt as fast as they can. My wife, Mrs. the Dungeon Delver, there's like an when her bag goes through and the guy pulls it out, pulls on gloves and starts searching through it. And he's looking at my wife and he's like, ma'am, is there anything in here, ma'am, that might hurt me if I touch it, ma'am? She'd used a gallon Ziploc bag instead of a quart Ziploc bag. And they pulled my 3-month pregnant wife aside for an advanced search, an advanced screening. So, that was not a lot of fun. That added to my airport anxiety. I just don't get there on time. Is everything going to be okay? But once I'm there, everything's going to be awesome. But the point of all this is, I got to be rested. I got to be ready. I got to be as mentally sharp as possible. I got to be as mentally sharp as possible, because I gotta be on the ball. Jack says, for the last 14 minutes, YouTube had a waiting for Delver notice. Finally thought to refresh when I saw the comments cooking. Thanks. Well, yeah. YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, YouTube. Yeah, I thought you meant you were going light main. So I won't be doing the 24-hour. Probably that will happen in, in April. But one thing I can tell you for sure, 100%, no lie, is next year, I can almost guarantee I won't be going to GaryCon again. Next year, I will do it on the 18th. Well, I will do it on the 17th to the 18th, which will be Saturday to Sunday. I get to be a kid again. I hope I have a good time too, Ken. I hope I do too. Airports are the worst of all liminal spaces. Yeah. Rather have me at GaryCon. Not everyone can escape the tedium of normalcy. I escape the tedium of normalcy every time I sit down behind this camera. Sometimes I fall into worse things, but let me tell you what, some of the best advice I ever got was after a particularly terrible evening back in, oh gosh, what was it? October, September, something like that, from the Dungeon Minister. And that was don't make a martyr of your anxiety. It only makes it stronger. Don't try and plow through it. So every once in a while, there's times that I'm like, guys, I just don't have it. I just don't have it, and I just can't bring it. That ain't very often, because you know what? I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. Hey, who wants to talk about some Dragon Magazine numero tres? You want to look at, do you guys out there in audience land want to continue looking at Dragon Magazine number 3? Who wants to see that? I will bring it up. I'm losing you guys. So Damien says yes. Mad Railroad Conductor says yes. I guess we get to jump in. Did they have a Gamma? No, unfortunately, they did not. They did not, and I think the closest they came was when they folded Ares, because Ares kind of went a little bit more in that direction. So let me see if I can add this. Share screen. Share screen. There we go. But I will tell you this, one of the very early issues of The Dragon had a very long fiction piece by Jim Ward about Gamma World. And I know we kind of play Gamma World a little goofy. It's dark. It is some dark sci-fi. Jim wrote a hell of a story there. So we have Dirt by Jake. I don't know which Jake this is. Plitkin, jump to your prime court. Omar, that puts your blit in my outer zone of control. Rear Zeph to the center barrier. Listen, what's that? Rumble, rumble, talk, rumble. Hold a vision of armor. Lieber, auction. Hot dogs, Viking miniatures. So Barker, said we, dice rolls. So you told us to. Rumble, rumble, talk. Orcs? No, just the Gen Con 9 crowd on their way home. Your move, Irving. So there you go. A little bit of in humor. And we have an article on a new view of dwarves, which actually really just kind of brings in a lot of stuff that some of this got folded into AD&D. I think Gary kind of pilfered some of these ideas. Magic resistance, add 4 levels when rolling their saving throws. And I think that, may fully employ the +3 Warhammer. There's your Dwarven Thrower. Yeah, a lot of this, if you're familiar with AD&D, came in right here with this article. Not all of it, but much of it. When fighting giant class, they had +1 to hit probabilities and subtract -1 from chances to be hit. They note slow slanting passages, traps, shifting walls, and rooms on a die roll of 1 to 4 on a 6-sided die. Noting new construction is done automatically. So Gary kind of cribbed a few of those ideas. Is it Jake from State Farm? He's in some kind of state. Your love is like a big truck, Berserker. So it's a new D&D subclass, which did not make it into AD&D. Jack, I don't recall, did you do Berserkers in your supplements over here, which I almost have to hand? Book of Exalted NPCs. Let's take a look. You do love buying khaki pants. All right, let's see. Berserker, yes, on page 63. But this is the Berserker from Later Dragon magazine. Not the OD&D Berserker. Not that that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, but not that one. I should add this in the Alchemist for posterity's sake. I think you should. Let's continue on. The Idiot class. Yes, we love the Idiot class. An idiot is obtained by paying 160 gold pieces at the beginning of a game or a city. If one is present, 50% chance. The player also has an opportunity to buy a midget for 200 gold pieces. The midget adds 5% to all base chances. The idiot's purpose is to confuse the enemy so that it will run away, attack a wall, commit hara-kiri, eat all its treasure, or some related act, just so it will not attack the troop. Confusion lasts 3 melee turns. There's a 15% chance that the confused monster will attack anyhow. The Idiot class. New category, Jesters. Shirley, you jest. No, I don't. And don't call me Shirley. And they have joke spells. That is, they have spells that are jokes. And also spells that are jokes. Well, let's check out the winners of Gen Con 9's D&D Elimination Tournament. Several questions have been raised regarding why the tournament was designed the way it was. Why were there no intelligent encounters? Our goal was to have each group DM to the same, and I'm sure most would agree that 10 DMs would run an encounter with the same fear, just 10 different ways. There was no way to take into account all variables, hence no way to be sure each party faced the same circumstances. I therefore chose to delete intelligent encounters in this tournament. Why were useless spells such as Sleep and Charm Person included on the spell list? First of all, whoever asked that back in the year 1975 or 76, if you think sleep is useless, get out. Get out. Sleep is the level 1 fireball. Sleep is the, oh crap, 10 goblins. No, it's cool. Boom. Sleep is not a useless spell. And same for Charm Person. The spell lists were made up using a percentage rolls for intelligence per Greyhawk. Not all the spells a mage takes on any adventure are useful if he fails to encounter anything to use them on. Also, we were looking for how well the magic users prepared themselves by looking at the total spell mix they selected. Wave of Giant Rats, sleep. Choosing languages was useless as nothing would talk. All monsters attacked on sight. Again, this was done to maintain consistency amongst DMs and keep things as simple as possible. Why only 100 entrants? You could have easily had 200. Indeed true, but there were two limiting factors. One was a physical space to put everybody. The other was the number of DMs we had, 10. One favorable comment we had was the size of each group was limited to 5, 1 DM per group. This meant that our limit was 50 entrants per session, and we had time for about 2 sessions on Saturday. It would have been nigh impossible to hold sessions on Friday as the DMs had to be briefed to be sure all understood how situations, almost said simulations, were to be handled. Why an individual rather than a team event? At the outset of the design phase, we decided on an elimination event by individuals rather than teams because we wanted to gauge how well strangers could adapt to D&Ding together. A team event is not out of the question, of course, and plans for another tournament are now being made around a team concept. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all my DMs, especially Dave Griggs, Bill Gemmell, and David Emmerich, who answered my plea for help in Strategic Review number 7. Gentlemen, you are all superb. Also, thanks to Rob Kuntz, Dave McGarry, and Mike Carr of TSR Hobbies for their help. And a special thanks to Gary Gygax, who suggested we hold the tournament on the lawn behind Legion Hall instead of in Horticultural Hall, thereby getting us the space we needed. Must have been a lovely Wisconsin day. Plans are proceeding apace for a tournament for the Gen Con 10 in 1977. Check forthcoming issues of The Dragon for details. Anyone wishing a copy of the tournament run at Gen Con 9 may write me. The preliminary round and the final round are $250 each. A copy of both is $5. You'll get everything you need to spring this on your own D&D group. Send request to Bob Blake, Rhode Island. Route 1, Box 47, Valparaiso, Indiana, 46383. I don't recommend you do that. Bob probably is not going to do that. Gamma World stuff into the Space Gamer Orbital Air. I will check. If you remind me, email me, put a comment down on the video. I will check my Space Gamer Fantasy Gamer PDF library and see what I can find for you. Gen Con 9 final update and Strategist Club Awards. This year's Strategy Club Awards for Creativity and Gaming for 1975 were as follows. Best New Game, Empire of the Petal Throne by M.A.R. Barker. Outstanding Designer, Professor M.A.R. Barker. Outstanding Writer, E. Gary Gygax. Best Miniature Figure Release Series, McEwen, Heroes and Wizards, Fantasy Line. Outstanding War Game Publication, The Strategic Review. Self-congratulatory much fellows. Miss Teenage Wisconsin, Jennifer Johnson, was on hand to add a touch of class to the ceremonies and presented all of the plaques. We salute you, Jennifer. Thank you for hanging around a bunch of sweaty nerds for an evening. The con itself went very well. We had more space and tournaments than ever, but also more people. Sad to say, lots of people were disappointed when they couldn't play what they wanted. We had figured on more people than the previous year, but not as many more as we had. Paid attendance was in the vicinity of 1,300, with crowds of over 1,000 on both Friday and Saturday. This year's action set all-time records for goods sold. I locked into the role of auctioneer and enjoyed myself immensely at the cost of my voice and vocal cords for 2 days after. The organizers of Gen Con wish to thank every person that attended for the mob scenes that occurred. Only 1 or 2 gamers lost their cool in all 3 days. On the debit side, this year's crowd set all new records for dirt and litter, necessitating a massive cleanup that lasted 2 days. We thought it was worth it. We're proud of our oldest and the best reputation. Gen Con 10 will be better yet. See you in 77. Modifiers for combat dexterity. Just Steve Klein, he wrote that on a note card and mailed it on a postcard. Just there you go. So your dex modifiers. So I guess Steve Klein there was doing percent dex, like in addition to percent strength. Because the 3 to 4 is -1 to hit overall, -2 to hit with missiles, -1 damage, and -1 to armor class. 5 to 8, no change to hit. -1 to missile, no change to damage, no change to defense. 9 to 12, no change across the board. 13 to 14, no change to hit, +1 to hit with missiles, no change to damage, +1 to defense. 15, no change to hit, +1 to missile, no change to damage, +1 to defense. 16, +1 hit and missile. Damage, no change. Defense, +2. Now, I think this is a typo because a dex of 17 hit and missile are +1, +2, but damage is listed at -1. I think that's supposed to be a +1. 18 +1, +2, +1, +4. And then you get into percentages with +2, +3, +2, +4, +2, +3, +2, +4, which it seems to me that you could have gone just with 51 to 90 and made it the same across the board. What do I know? 91 to 99, +2, +4, +2, +5, and double nuts, you got +3, +5, +3, +6. Don't miss the Dragon number 4, Empire of the Petal Throne, battle reports, royal dispatches, short story, and more. Thieves greater than magic users or monks. This is getting out of hand, whereas strength is a fighter class. Dexterity covers at least 3 classes already. Yeah, it is a little out of hand, and I can understand not wanting to do exceptional on everything. Winter Fantasy. Now, many of us have attended, or many of you, I should say, have attended Gen Con. I've never been, will likely never go, for the expense, the hassle, and the fact that it has nothing to do with me or my gaming anymore. But did any of you guys ever attend Winter Fantasy? I know this went for a little while. Anyway, Winter Fantasy 1, January 8 and 9, 1977, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, at the American Legion Hall. I cannot imagine being in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin on the 8th or 9th of January. And in 1977 and 78, you had horrible blizzards across the Midwest. Remember, and you can look this up on YouTube. I'm not kidding you. I'm not making this up. If you go on YouTube, there's an episode of In Search of where they talk about the coming ice age. It's like a 1977 YouTube, 1977 In Search of episode, narrated by Leonard Nimoy, talking about, hey, we're going to have a new ice age because we've had all these cold winters. And it's going to be fun to see if the YouTube bot flags this video, but we'll just drive on. So let's see. We had 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. Planned events. Empire of the Petal Throne adventures, Dungeons & Dragons open adventures, fantasy board game tournaments including Dungeon, like Mar, Battle of the Five Armies, and others, fantasy miniature tournaments, seminars, refreshments, and more. Now, I have been to the American Legion Hall on 735 Henry Street in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin for a gaming event. It ain't huge. It ain't huge, so they were probably not expecting a great rush of people coming in there. Pre-registration will be taken $2 for both days. At-the-door registration is $1.50 a day, $3 total for both days. So pre-register, please. Games will not be pre-registered due to the flexibility of the events planned. A pre-convention schedule will not be printed. A schedule of events will be posted at the door. For further information, contact Rob Kuntz, 334 Madison Street, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, 53147. In the next issue of The Dragon, Battle of the Temple of Chanis 2020 AS by M.A.R. Barker. The Road to Jakala, EPT short story. Dice Lace, Creeping Crud, Breath of Death, and More by Gary Jacquet. More Imperial Dispatches by Professor Barker. And then, of course, they also list... come on. In the next issue of Little Wars, Part 2 of The Great Retreat, Tractics Modifications by Tucker and Reese. I hope one of those modifications was to the Sheridan, so I got to pump the brakes here a little bit, because we got time before, we get rolling with Gamma World tonight. So, for those of you not in the know, if you're not a war nerd, if you don't like tank porn, back in the 1960s, like starting in the late 1950s and then developed into the 1960s, the Army had an airborne light tank called the Sheridan. It was bad. It was not a good vehicle. It had one thing going for it, and that was its missile that it shot out of the gun barrel. But the problem was the shells that they fired out of the gun barrel wrecked things inside the tank. And because the gun was 165 millimeters. 152 millimeters. That's a big diameter. That's like that big around. And they fired the missile out of the same tube. Well, the missile was guided by the gunner, which required a computer and electronics and a joystick. When the gun would go boom, now remember, I said this is a light tank, aluminum armor, very lightweight for a tank. When the gun would go boom, it would tend to wreck all of the electronics, and they'd have to be fixed and stabilized and resighted. But they kept the darn thing in service until the late 1990s, I think. Anyway, Lake Geneva is very pretty in the spring and summer, Jimmy. It is quite gorgeous. That is also correct, Jake. When you push the go boom button, it would bounce the tank. Anyway, I'm getting very far afield. 152 millimeter gun. Now, at the time, the United States fielded nuclear artillery. They may still, I don't know. They had artillery shells, cannon shells that you could fire way over yonder. You can see the guns elevate up, kaboom. And when they'd land 15, 20, 30 miles away, they'd go kaboom with all the power of a nuclear weapon. And those shells were 155 millimeters. Now, I don't know what possessed Tucker and Reese, the creators of Tractics, to do this, but they decided that because the Sheridan had a 152 something millimeter gun and nuclear shells were 150 something millimeters, that the Sheridan could fire a tactical nuclear weapon out of its main tank gun barrel, which it can't. For many, 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 many reasons, it couldn't do that. But in Tractics, that would, like, if you looked at the data card, which I used to have a copy of Tractics, would love to have a copy of Tractics again, just to have on the shelf. Maybe I'll find one at GaryCon that somebody doesn't want an arm and a leg for. But yeah, it was in the rules. So I hope that the Tractics modifications for the modern armor deleted on that and said, no, you can't fire a nuclear shell out of the barrel of a light tank. The Sheridan. I see what you did there, Yang. Jimmy says the tourism clogs up Lake Geneva. So if you've never been, I've told this story before. We have time. We're done. We're done with our we're done with our reading of Dragon Magazine for the evening, and in just a little bit we'll be playing Gamma World. But if you've not ever been to Central Florida, the town where Mrs. the Dungeon Delver and I were married is a locale called Mount Dora. Now, it's not a mountain. If you've been to Lake Geneva and you went to Mount Dora, Florida, you'd go, my God, this is the same town. It is very, 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 very similar. Real Lake Geneva in Wisconsin is famous for more than a few things. My wife and I getting married there. But the first time my wife and I went to Lake Geneva, we arrived at night. And the next morning we got out and we were looking around. And I'm like, Colleen, this place is identical to Lake Geneva or to Mount Dora. And she was like, you're right. This is kind of spooky. But to kind of go back to what I was saying about Lake Geneva and it being a touristy place. One year when we were up there, I swear, driving around Lake Geneva proper to get to various destinations, I'd say 1 in 5 cars' license plates we saw were from Florida. Not just from Florida, but from like Seminole and Orange County, Florida. Yeah, y'all snowbirds like coming down here and hanging out in Central Florida, don't you? Saw a lot of Florida license plates up there around Lake Geneva. But yeah, I will be there again next week. This time next week, I'll be walking around, Hawaiian shirt, beer in hand. Hey, who's got an open spot? I'll force my way into somebody's game. Here's my tickets. Let me sit down and play. That's what I'll do. But hey, if you are going to be at GaryCon and you want to do a pickup game, leave a comment on the video. Tell me where you're going to be. We'll make something happen. It'll be fun. Can Floridians handle a Great Lake springtime? Here, I'll tell you something, Yang. I'll tell you something about Great Lakes springtimes. We were up there in the spring. Well, I mean, June, I think, one year. or maybe it was May. It was certainly not that late in the spring, but I remember just like, it was 80 degrees, 85 degrees outside. We were at the pool in the hotel, and it felt so good. It was nice, wonderful. It was so great. It was lovely. And we had gone to some, I don't know, some grocery store on the edge of town. And it kind of makes me sad because, like, right across from the grocery store, there's this rolling meadow and the sun was going down. And I realized in the direction I was looking, if I had just said goodbye and started walking, I would not have encountered a major city until I reached the Pacific Ocean, just going in that direction, just across the Great American Plains. Would have crossed some highways and gone through some towns, certes, but I remember the smell of the clover and the hay, and there was no stifling humidity. When a breeze blew, it was cool. It wasn't like blowing hot, damp air. And I was like, it was the evening. Like I said, the sun was just starting to get low in the sky. And I was like, damn, this is really nice. This is really nice. And then on the wind, a voice whispered into my ear, if you move here, I'll kill you. And it was then that I remembered that 12 to 15 weeks from the very day that I was there, it would be a wintry hell. It would be a frozen abyss of gray clouds, ice, and snow that would not release its icy iron grip until the following May or June or whatever. So, wonder what they found the set for Hoth. Yeah. Now, when I went up for GaryCon 2018, just by myself, it's pretty much, I think the hottest it got that weekend was 19. 19 degrees. No, thank you. No, thank you. Can do without. So the supermarket, Jimmy, the supermarket we used to shop at, because the wife and I went to 3 Lake Geneva Gaming Con events. So it's kind of almost a regular thing. But the supermarket we used to shop at was, I don't know what it was called, but when I went up for GaryCon in 2018, it had been changed into a Piggly Wiggly. Good eats at the deli there, though. I'll give it that much. So, that's what's waiting for me up there. You say, Jonathan Hilton, he has a bunch of Piggly Wigglies in southeast Wisconsin. See, I grew up as a Southerner. It's like there was a Piggly Wiggly close-ish to the house I lived in when I lived in Gadsden, Alabama. And I thought that was exclusively a Southern thing. And I'll tell you something. The first wow moment I had of brand recognition, it's because, like, Coca-Cola's in everything, right? You expect to see it. But the first wow brand recognition I had was actually in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, when they're disguising the trucks that they're going to haul all of the stuff to set up the base to attract the aliens out. By the way, can I just go on record as saying I find Close Encounters of the Third Kind to be a crushingly depressing movie. It sucks the soul out of me. But we can have that discussion later. To get back to Piggly Wiggly, so they're disguising civilian trucks to haul all the stuff to Devil's Mountain there in Wyoming, or Devil's Tower in Wyoming, and one of the disguised trucks was a Piggly Wiggly delivery truck. And to my little, I don't know, 8-9-year-old brain, whenever it was on TV, I was like, oh, wow, we have a Piggly Wiggly here. Do they have them elsewhere? Yeah, watching Richard Dreyfuss's character go insane and do that, like even as a little kid, that just bothered the heck out of me. And as an adult, I'm just like, it's supposed to have this wondrous, uplifting ending. The military straight up just murders people. Everybody with Roy gets nerve gassed. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. I mean, obviously, I'm probably like in a single person minority. The Tauntaun herds of Wisconsin are where the cheese curds come from. That's funny. I do think it's kind of funny that a lot of the guys who are in Caddyshack actually spent, I know Harold Ramis and maybe Bill Murray, I'm not sure, but they were caddies at various golf courses, including places in Lake Geneva sometimes in the 60s. As youngsters, but they filmed Caddyshack in Florida. Lux, it's like a proto X-Files, like straight up combined, like it. Take the UFOs out of it, and Richard Dreyfuss is just a guy going completely nuts, and it's very unpleasant to watch. So, I mean, it's a good looking film. Like it's brilliantly shot. Like they do some amazing work with some slit scan effects and lighting and so we're about 5 minutes away from starting some classic Gamma World, guys. We're waiting for folks to file in. Yeah, no, Jack. There's a scene when, like one of the guys who's climbing up the through the woods with Richard Dreyfuss's character, Roy Neary, Monsieur Neary. He lags behind because he's getting hot. He's getting overwhelmed, and he stops to take off his sweater. And when he does that, an army helicopter or a black helicopter spots him and flies low over him and dumps a bunch of gas on him, and it, like, you know, him like lying on the ground, like on one elbow, kind of twitching because of what's probably VX. So we are waiting on one, possibly two more folks to join us. And it did have great sound effects. One of the one of the coolest things is, as much as I bagged on it, and this took me forever to find. So back in the 90s, before the Sci-Fi Network went completely down the toilet, they got these celebs to do like 30-second bumper spots for the Sci-Fi Network. And the ad run was called I Am Sci-Fi. And Moby did a positively brilliant one, or they made a positively brilliant one, where if you've seen Close Encounters, the UFO, or if you haven't seen Close Encounters, spoiler alert, the UFO is hovering above the top of the Devil's Tower in Wyoming, and all the scientists are there, and they have their sunglasses on, and they're watching, and they're waiting for the aliens to do something. And the thing that they've realized is the way to communicate with the aliens in the movie is through music. And if you've heard bum 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 bum, and the aliens, you know, kind of play it back and forth. Well, they have this massive sound system set up, and they're standing there, and this voice comes over the PA to the person working the keyboards and says, you know, if you're ready, play the tones. And they cut over, and it's Moby. And he like does a breakbeat scratch kind of thing. The aliens don't react. And he kind of looks up and just pushes all the sliders on his soundboard to max and does it again. And the alien ship kind of jerkily rotates back and forth like a turntable and responds in kind. And like starts blasting out like rave lights. And you see it from a distance, and you hear Moby say, I am sci-fi. And then they cut back, and the alien ships are, you know, like blaring techno music, and he's standing on his soundboard working it and that sort of thing. In fact, I really like that bumper a lot, and I'm going to do this before we get started here, guys. My apologies to my to my everybody. Let me see if I can find this, and I will share this in the chat, and you can check it out if you've never seen it. Let's see. Let's go to my channel. Videos. All right. So this being well before YouTube, well before even like anybody putting, like if a video clip was online, it was like even a short one, wait 10 minutes. You know, like you could get it off an FTP site. Just wait 10 minutes. And I really, really wanted this clip, and there was no way to find it. And by the time we got to something resembling, this was even pre-YouTube, you know, I was using Alta Vista to try and scour the internet to find this clip. One of the guys who did the effects had it in his demo reel featured on his personal webpage. And it was like an embedded QuickTime video. And that's in like 240 or 360p at most, that video that I linked you guys to. But I dug through it and I found the QuickTime file, and then I Alta Vista searched how to download QuickTime, and I downloaded the QuickTime video, and I was so happy. And I burned it to a CD, and I took it to work, and I showed it to my coworkers, and they were impressed because I had a CD burner back when they cost $500 a piece. And there's a long story behind that I'm not going to get into. But I always held on to it. Like when I would back up my computer, I would make sure that got backed up and burned to a CD. So I had that video forever. And when I got the YouTube channel, I was like, hey, I don't see this anywhere. I'll upload it. And so it sits on my channel. And people have added it to their playlist. Like, so-and-so has used your video in their content. I'm like, first of all, it belongs to Sci-Fi Network, which I think is, I don't even know who the hell Sci-Fi Network belongs to. So there it is. There's a little something. The only positive thing I can think of out of Close Encounters. But let's have another Close Encounter. A Close Encounter of a different time, because it's that time in the evening, folks, when we re-enter the wastelands. We re-enter the blasted earth of Gamma World. And let us welcome our Gamma World participants. Yang Yanzao's Rex Dashington.
Good evening, ladies.
The most doomed of swords himself, as Numbers Rab.
What's up?
Our own Wisconsin mom, Sapphire, playing 4077.
Evening.
You know
change
him,
it to
you
4077, sorry.
He's bad. He's beautiful. He's God preacher.
I do declare.
All right, guys.
It's going to be one of those nights.
You have defeated these marauders, these bandits, these ne'er-do-wells who are attacking you. Now, unfortunately, of course, Do-Re-Mi, played by Kevin, cannot be here. I'm not gonna run his character as an NPC. I'm not gonna kill him off. We're just gonna say he is pretty badly wounded, because I think he had been pretty badly wounded in the fight prior to this one, and I kind of glossed over his healing. So he is not going to be doing much more than saying, I'll stay with the car as you guys travel on. But you have a few who are stunned, who are unconscious because of tranq darts fired by 4077. And that includes the apparent leader of this group. You have a great majority of them who are dead. They did not inflict much more than a bit of cosmetic damage to the vehicle, and none at all to the suit of armor or hopefully the stasis chamber that you guys were carrying along. Unfortunately, Preacher, these ruffians, these scalawags,
Unwashed heathens.
These unwashed heathens, these apostate heretics, have completely trashed your domicile. They have slashed and torn all the books they could lay the hands on, smashed tables, upturned everything. What you have spent these weeks trying to put together a domicile, a sanctuary, a place of normalcy, true to their word, even unto their dying moments, they wiped it all out. Your carefully collected articles and items smashed to flinders. Only what you have on your back and in your hands is yours to call your own again. So, adventurers, what will you do? You have some unconscious, you have some, the vast majority of them are deceased.
I recommend
Rex,
we tie up and question the leader, and the rest, let's take care of them so they're not a problem again.
I'm on them with my blade. I'll leave the leader. Decapitate the rest.
Okay, well, they are. They never wake up to experience the unpleasantness, so they are all down, except for the leader, who is unconscious.
Let's tie the leader up, and Rex, you want to do your magic? Question him?
no problem. Yeah, I guess Rex will grab some jumper cables from the trunk and tie this guy up, and he will. We probably don't have any smelling salts, so he's going to take Bogo's corpse and like wave it under the guy's nose.
All right, well, let's see here.
I'm sure we do have smelling salts, but hey, Bogo would think it was funny.
I'd rather not waste them.
Okay.
That is a BOGO. That is a BOGO approved move.
He stirs somewhat, but does not awaken, at least not initially. Cauterize the wounds with a vibroblade, at least. So yes, he kind of stirs somewhat, but does not immediately awaken. He's still breathing, unlike the other ones.
Did you say last time he had sunglasses?
No. What he has on is a strange mask that seems to stretch over his face. It does have darkened lenses over the eyes, but it also has like a cylindrical device that kind of sticks out to one side. His voice is somewhat muffled through it, but
I'm going to take that off of him so we can see what he looks like.
okay. Pale, unshaven, dirty face, red bloodshot eyes.
I wave Preacher over. Come on. You recognize this dude?
I do not.
And more
No,
importantly-
never. When they had come and demanded that you surrender to them, he had never he'd never taken this mask off.
Okay. More importantly, do you know the recipes? Can you cook them again? I mean, that was an awesome dinner. We need it again.
It may take you a while to recreate them from scratch, Preacher. They were written down in the books, and as I said,
Well, we'll just have to live through it as guinea pigs.
Preacher just
So
starts,
can we kill?
Water around here?
Preacher just starts kicking him. Water is too good for this unwashed heathen.
Well, he is unwashed.
so
Want me
Preacher,
to cut him open?
let's see. Let me.
Bet this guy could squeal like a pig.
Don't cut him. Do the side of the blade. Wake him up that way. Heat him up.
Well, he ain't talking in the present state, that's for sure.
Heat him up a little bit. Do the feet. Come on. Doesn't do any permanent damage, really. At least not as far as we're concerned.
Well, we could chain him up behind the car and drive slow.
Any
Preacher-
dudes that like try to take us out, I have no pity for.
Preacher still just kicking him in the ribs, commanding he wakes up.
All right, I'm going to deem that does wake him up. Ah!
Good morning.
I see that you have killed those who also walk on my path.
Yeah, they're all dead.
That is good, but I wish we had destroyed you before our end.
Yeah, that was never going to happen.
Entropy will embrace all one day, my friend. You are not immune.
Speaking of one day, where exactly is your lair?
The friends of entropy are everywhere.
Right. So where's your...
I'm guessing you have some village, some stronghold where you have mewling offspring and soft women. Perhaps you lie down there and you eat your belly full of meat and barley, and you comfort yourself, and you tell yourselves that all is well and another day's work is done. Yet, among your very allies are members of our own sect. You won't see them. Perhaps that beautiful girl with the wings there, you'll lie with her, and then you won't wake up the next morning and she'll stand over you, showing our mark on her skin. And with a dripping blade, she moves on to other tasks for the friends of entropy. Your machines will fail, your bodies will fail, life will fail, and all will be darkness and cold.
I walk over and I start doing acupuncture, but not the good kind.
Okay. He grits his teeth and kind of just powers through it. Ah, that's right. Oh, ever closer you draw. You're not different from us. You live for the slaughter, for the cessation of all life and all motion. It is the end.
4077, I think he's into this.
Yeah, probably.
I think we should try some of that water and make him clean.
Oh, I know what we can do. We can expose him to that underground water source that certain somebody dived into, so that he can become what he hates.
Hate. You don't understand the meaning of the word. You think I hate
a mutant.
You think I fear or hate mutations? No. We are the friends of entropy. We embrace darkness and death, regardless of who brings it.
Rex is going to point at the chamber that we have, and he's going to make a point to like sort of palm this guy's head and turn it towards it. And Rex is going to say, "You see that device? With that device, we can take you limb from limb and replace them with electronics. We could slowly make you completely cybernetic, never succumbing to entropy."
Or we could take him back to the hospital and let her have fun with him.
I'm a fan of End Trophy, which is where I take his head and hang it from my belt.
Slay me. Don't slay me. Turn me into a machine man hybrid. It matters not.
Preacher takes the butt of his slug thrower and hits him in the family jewels as hard as he can, and says, "Sir, there are certain things worse than death that I can deliver unto thee."
He grits his teeth and, leans back and says, yes, that's it. You wish to destroy. You're all friends of entropy. You just won't admit it to yourselves.
You see that head come apart?
All right. You slam your rifle butt into his groin, and he's obviously in pain, but he's kind of gritting his teeth through it and he said what he said. So what will you guys do?
Obviously, he's a fanatic. Don't know
We
if we're
should
going to get
kill him
anything
and be
useful
done
out of
with it.
him.
Yeah, it don't matter neither way. Kill him, he's happy. Don't kill him, he's happy. Whatever. Torture him. That's probably the best bet. I mean, if you're into that.
So Rex will take his vibroblade and stick it in the man's throat.
Okay. Well, he perishes shortly thereafter with a gurgling laugh. Maybe there's kind of an expression in his eyes in like the last second. Perhaps I have made a mistake, but you'll never know because he is unalive at that point.
Made his bed, he can sleep into it.
Well, where to now?
Well, I look at the preacher. What's your deal, dude?
Clanner Jake says, time to BOGO, leave them together.
Seems like your homestead here is pretty much shambles after this group got done with it.
Yeah, either you prayed to the gods and they don't exist, or you prayed to the gods and they don't like you very much. Take your pick.
Maybe they're testing him. Who knows?
The Lord does not control what his children do or do not do. If you try to bring decency to the unwashed, this is what you should expect.
Yeah, does it bother you though? I'm sure it kind of pisses you off, right?
I am very miffed, sir. Very miffed.
Well, what do we do about it?
The heathen has perished to go to his place of reckoning. There is nothing more we can do.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you would say. Because, see, we have a tendency to keep things that are useless around, like corpses, books, bombs, whatever. So we don't got to go back in there, right? We can just haul ass from here.
If there's any weaponry in that, there's certainly a purpose to go in there to retrieve it.
Well, yeah, if there's weaponry.
Let's not leave the practical behind.
I just assume preacher would know.
There is one item inside that I must retrieve. I know it is safe, for I hid it well.
All right.
And then he turns around and goes back
food.
inside.
Make sure you bring any leftovers with you. Are still good.
All right. What are you retrieving from the remains of your domicile there, preacher?
He's going to go into the kitchen, and he's going to scoot the dining room, and he's going to scoot the table over, and one of the boards is loose, and he lifts it up and reaches in and pulls out a book, and he mumbles a prayer. Y'all don't know what he says, and he kisses the book, and he says, "Oh, yes, of course. Doggy bags, as they were once called. Of course, yes. Let us pack this we can use it to minister to those on the road and to ourselves.
Well, you've got about a meal's worth of fried mutant chicken here. So you might have had more, but there's a lot of it that was thrown on the floor and stomped on, whether deliberately or accidentally, by these guys. But you've got a little bit.
In the garden, there should be herbs that he could grab too. That's important for the recipes.
Oh, of course, yes.
All right. So you gather up a few belongings, and what do?
What do you think, Rex? We get the hell out of here.
Definitely.
Looks like we got a new companion.
The question is, where do we go now?
That's the question I'd have for you, right? So I can tell by your actions that this is the true Rex, and I can tell you're regaining your memory and whatnot and your normal modus operandi, right?
Of course I am. Of course.
Yeah, so we still looking for technology and groups to trade with and all that, or what are we doing,
yes,
my man?
And if we see anything that could help our friend, and he points to the now rotting corpse of Bogo, we will also help him if possible.
Fair enough. I'll be honest, it'll help my nose if we stick him in the ground or dump him off the back.
I'm hoping it will be an anti-theft device for the car.
Oh. Fine choice.
Do Re Mi says, he kind of raises his fist feebly and says, I'm the anti-theft device for the car because I'm not getting out again for a while.
I'll patch him up.
All right.
So I think we were looking for friends of yours here that you met on the way to the hospital.
People we met before.
Do they have anything to trade or any information?
Oh,
on
yeah.
Places.
There's a pure human tribe. That
Yeah, they didn't have a whole lot of tech, you know, but they might be interesting. Sorry to cut you off.
No, they did share willingly, and they do have herbal remedies, so might not be a bad option.
Yeah, they were friends as much as one can call someone else these times.
All right then.
So what about all our stuff? We're good. We're intact.
We just need to try to find more fuel as we go to boost our reserves.
Yeah, and that's true, right, Bill? I mean, the car, looking over all that stuff, you know, now that we have a few minutes, that all looks good. We should be able to proceed as before.
Yeah, they didn't really get into destroying the car or the grav sled or what you have strapped to the grav sled much. They were more focused on killing you guys.
Right, so we can do it just the way we did before. Yeah, just tell me where to go. I'll drive.
Well, should we head back to the humans?
Sounds good.
Hop in.
You gotta get in the back, though. I have to be in the front because my wings.
Well, Rex,
And I'd appreciate it.
take the back.
I appreciate it. You get them things out of my face, too, next time.
I try to keep them contained. Sorry.
Alrighty, so you are you are back on the road again and wending your way through the ruins of this metropolis. Now, how is Rex going? Is he staying in his armor on the trailer? Is the armor on the trailer, but Rex is not in it, or what?
He will be in the armor, although he will shut it down for the duration on the trailer.
All right. You will have to crack the seal of your helmet.
Sure.
So you don't sweat to death. It's, basically like sitting in a car that's on a trailer being towed, with the key off. It's going to get a little toasty in there.
No problem.
Good choice on the armor, though. Good choice.
Yeah, I mean, the energy field won't, but the armor will still won't work. But the armor will still add to your armor class.
Right.
All right. So you spend a while driving around the city. Until, I mean, it's getting on towards the evening now. You've put the distant, or now you assume distant structure of the hospital behind you, and all the radiation that you've managed to release there. Going up and down streets, there is one really, really long stretch where you have to weave between wrecks, but it is not wrecks, Dashington, wrecked vehicles and collapsed buildings, but it is actually in a straight line. And eventually this leads to a confusing, crisscrossed mess of ancient roadways that some are above others. There are some below where you are. It looks like they join together after sharp curves to the left and the right. Some of them go up, some of them go down. What do you wish to do?
I say we stay to the bottom. We don't want to run into any broken bridges. Stay to the bottom and the right. Does that work?
Rex will yell from the back. Good.
Do you want me to pop up and look?
All right. Yeah, if you want to do surveillance, I'll slow down the vehicle. To basically a crawl.
All right.
Just let it idle forward, whatever.
Okay. It's mostly stopped, I'll get out and just kind of fly up a little bit, look around carefully, because I know there's other flying predators around.
Of course.
Not making that mistake again.
Blash swoops by. I'm going to eat like a king tonight. Zatch. So you fly up, and riding a thermal, and feels good to not be sitting down or standing with those nasty, nasty injuries you took to your upper thighs there from the AI in the hospital. But as you are you're looking around, there's less city to the east and the west. If you follow these ancient travel ways, but the place is vast, and from up here to the let me see here. Give me just a moment. So I just want to make sure I've got this. I've got my location right. There we go. So off to the southwest, there is a massive series of domed structures. You can see it from here. Some of them have collapsed, but you see huge, vast stretches of just what looks like just open space. It looks a little different from the city. There's kind of ruined buildings around it, and that's off to the southwest of where you're at now.
All right, so I'll kind of continue to look around a little bit, but being careful to make sure I haven't attracted any other attention. And then I'll fly back and report.
Okay, guys, I'm presuming she tells you that.
All right, so what do you think? We go down to the southwest. We continue the way we were on. You remember the place where, or the directions at least? I think we headed out west from the location where we had those friends, you know, as you might call them. But that stuff down in the southwest sounds pretty intriguing too. As up directs, just point away, and I'll put the floor or the pedal to the floor. I think they say. At least I read it in some ancient text.
All right.
I can't read.
Good to me.
So did we want to go to the southwest or head towards where the human tribe was?
I suppose we could head southwest first and see what's there.
All right.
Floor it.
Okay, so you spend a good walk.
Directions from memory.
Yeah,
To get there.
and there are places where you have to double back and go back and find some alternate way, because there are still portions of this that are broken or collapsed or what have you, this ancient roadway. But as you kind of wend your way, 4077 taking to wing to reorient you and whatnot, it is getting late in the evening. And poor Do-Re-Mi says, "You know what? I'm gonna take a nap. I think I'm absolutely gonna take a nap now. I'm in a lot of pain." And T is soon snoring lately. Let's see.
Rex will say, "I don't know if he's cut out for the job."
Oh, I can patch him up once he wakes up. I'll do some more.
Ain't you already tried that?
A little bit.
This guy needs to man up, or maybe preach over him or something, you know?
Yeah, might work. You never know.
So
Can't hurt
was
him.
this little green thing, poor child, bless his heart.
He's kind of gray now.
Yeah, he is. Not much green left.
Was he a beloved pet, or
He was our
He wasn't a pet.
intimidation factor.
Yes.
I see.
You could call it that. You could call it troublemaker. You could call it the dominator. He had this thing that he liked. I ain't even getting into it.
He was cute.
You his mom or something?
Well, I
Well,
must
he kind of
declare,
adopted me. He kind of adopted me.
he does look quite adorable, bless his little heart.
Could you make John Walker wants to know? Could you make armor out of Bogos, chitin, exoskeleton? Yeah, I guess if you needed an armored onesie,
A helmet. A helmet. This is a brilliant idea. I wish I was a little more grim.
it's technically it would count as carapace armor. It would absolutely count as carapace armor if you found someone that could do the job. You could make a little infant-sized carapace armor, body armor suit out of it, or a helmet, As you're traveling along, Numbers, you pass under one of the great stretches of road, and it is dark. It is very dark. About midpoint along as you're going, because it's probably a good 100 meters wide, the stretch of road you're passing under.
Can I interrupt you for one moment? I apologize.
That's quite
being
all right.
being that it's dark, I'd like to make sure that my UV IR goggles are on.
Of course.
Thank you.
It's
we might
because
wanna
you
look
have
for
your,
shelter while we're at it.
it is because you have your UV goggles on that you are not surprised to note high up in the girders of the overpass that towers above you, you see what looks like some kind of structure that has been built up there, and you can see forms moving about. You're not sure how many. They are tall, perhaps 2.5 meters, lanky. They have tails.
Hey, we got company. I'm gonna slow it down real quick. Up there.
I'm gonna refill my needler so I'm full.
Okay.
Preacher's reloading his shotgun just in case.
Rex will put down the helmet and get ready.
Okay. So you're powering up your
Powering it up.
powering your suit up. Okay. Alrighty. What do you stop? Do you hail them? What?
Yeah, I slow down the car as quietly as possible. And I think from the description, they're on the passenger side where most of the people would see them and be able to interact with them.
Well, they're hanging from the bottom of the overpass, and they are more or less directly over you.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I slow down the vehicle. Yeah, I guess I'll stick my left hand out the window in a gesture of peace. You know, just an open palm.
Okay. You. Let me see. Make sure I have that right. Because that's not in the book a whole. Like.
Stay sharp.
Understood.
All right, so you roll down the window and you hear a voice in your head that says, what do you want, strangers? We are many. We have the high ground above you.
Did we determine that we could communicate back with the Sleeth?
I'm sorry, did you determine what?
That we could communicate back telepathically with the Sleeth by just thinking something? I can't remember.
They can read your thoughts, yeah, so.
Yeah, I just think I think back, I reminisce about the memory of the Sleeth that we had already encountered and made friends with.
Okay. You know our kin. You do not seem hostile. What do you want?
We are simply passing through the city, hoping to encounter more beneficent or benevolent individuals.
There's a moment of silence, and then the cold, alien, lizard-like thoughts of the Sleeth touch your mind again. If pass through, you must. Then on you may travel and go without harm. If you wish to stay or trade, you may do this also.
Perhaps trade would be well. I'm going to step out of the vehicle.
Okay. So you get a mental image that somewhere above you, it's not revealing where, it's kind of an emotional impression of, hey, I've got people up here with bows ready to fire if there's any funny business, but we're still cool. So
yeah, I figured as much. We're in a compromised situation, and I'm expressing peace as much as possible. And if they take me out, so be it.
Okay. Well, again, they are very high up there, and all of you hear now in your minds the Sleeth communicating directly to you. And what of the rest of you? Peace also?
Yes.
Then come.
Out of the vehicle.
All right. The thing says, I will lower a rope. Obviously, winged female you do not need, but have a care.
May I approach?
Yes, of course.
I'll start flying up.
Yeah, I know this. Those of you pinging me in the chat and saying I sound like a Khajiit from Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls games in general, deal with it. that's the best. That's the best I got for you. I'm sorry.
I love it. I knew instantly who they were, but as soon as the voice came out, and that's what matters. I'll climb the rope out of congeniality. Far be it from me to refuse a Sleeth's hospitality.
Don't worry, me can stay in the car.
Yeah, you know that this thing basically fought straight through your force field. And you don't know if your force field has any particular proof against psychic powers, but just want to point that out. But you do that. You do with that what you will.
Rex will fly up to back up 477.
Okay.
You coming, preacher?
I will climb, though it may take me a bit. I'm more used to climbing trees from my youth.
In a painful delirium, Doremi just says, I'm staying with the car. I don't think I'm going to climb up any rope ladders right now.
Good idea.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You got the car. That's important.
Okay. So basically all of you find yourself on a platform now. Rex, this platform appears to have been assembled by hand or claw or what have you. Oh, well, thank you for hanging out with us, John Walker. Hope you feel better, my friend. You're not sure if it would support the full weight of assault armor stomping around up here. There's the highway above it. You could stand and look down to their platform, as it were, or you could continue to hover and burn battery power. I leave it.
I will go up to the highway.
Okay. You are at this point, by the way, on your current battery power. You are currently at about 18 hours of operation left.
Okay.
So for those of you who have gone up to the platform, essentially what this is they, you don't know if they brought it up there because some of it actually looks pretty old, but there's stuff that's been tack welded in place, bolted, cabled, globs of epoxy holding stuff together, and every step you take, the whole thing creaks. They seem perfectly happy with it, and it's essentially 3 shipping containers that have been hauled up here and had holes cut in the sides for windows and passages between them.
I'm just going to continue to like flap around and just kind of hover.
Okay. So the Sleeth, they have these panels that they uncover. They have a faint yellow greenish glow to them, and I should point out, it's light without heat. This is some trick of the ancients, but it's not like, it's not like, hey everybody, guess who gets mutations? All of you. That kind of glow. These are some kind of lighting panels. They're not particularly bright. The panels aren't. Like, you could read by one if you brought it close to you. Think like a giant glow stick level of light. But they have enough of them that they it's a dim light in the room.
What are these? What do you know about them?
You asked this of the Sleeth?
I do.
We came to this place looking for shelter. These we found in an ancient building and use them for seeing at night when we wish to speak after the setting of the sun. We do not know how their technology works. Orlen we have met, and they have asked us to trade for them. Some we have traded away, but these 4 here we have kept for ourselves.
And these Orlan never told you what they do?
No, the Orlen are kindly folks, but even they do not understand all of the technology of the ancients.
Well, our specialist is heavily wounded at the moment. Do you mind if I have a look?
An injured one amongst you. This is a grave situation.
Indeed it is. And he is one of the ones we like.
You may examine them. So these are about maybe a little over 1/3 of a meter on the long side and perhaps 10 centimeters on the short side. They appear to be a glassine substance of some kind with a metal backing, and the backing has some rusted, corroded spots where you think maybe wires would have been connected at some point, but now you're not sure. But as you look at them, the glow does not fade, nor does it change.
All right, yeah. Does it look like the type of thing that there's anything I can do to manipulate it to try to figure anything out about it, or it's just like a cell?
You know what? Give me a D10 roll.
Alrighty.
Does it seem to be a 2?
Oh, it's a 1.
Oh, it's a 1. Okay, so you can make out like faded when you stare at it long enough. This almost, like, you can faintly see faded into the glowing flat part, alphanumeric characters. Like maybe this was part of a display, like a display terminal. But beyond that, you're not sure.
And they're not like, are they interconnected? Or they're individual things.
Yeah.
Right.
So are they portable? Is it tubular or?
Yeah, think a computer, a flat panel computer monitor. That's like this. That's about the size and weight of what you have there.
Okay, so that's about the size of that. Did we see anything that looked like this previously when we were looking through terminals and smashing them up and whatnot?
You haven't seen this particular kind, but they've been many varied, the ones that you have found. So it's not beyond the question that you just haven't encountered these yet.
Very well. I believe that these are used in some sort of primordial display. Not necessarily primordial in the sense that it may help you in any sort of tribal ritual. But however, we might have use for them in sanctuary or elsewhere, once combined with other technology.
But these we cannot trade anymore. These are for light. And
Indeed.
It says, yes, the light.
Not even one.
I suppose if you have more items that you would be willing to trade, we could perhaps be convinced to part. But before we trade, we must ask you, please join us for a meal. We have night digger stew we have prepared. You're not sure what a night... There's a rather pungent cooking smell that you've now kind of noticed coming from the third container over.
These worms or something? I mean, I'm kind of hungry, so it really don't matter.
Then let us have a repast together. Come, yes. Your friend inside the moving metal, please, come.
I think he's asleep by now, so we'll just kind of let him be.
Well, I'm up.
He was gesturing upwards to where Rex is.
Okay.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Rex
Unless Rex was trying to be covert about it's a little difficult to be covert about something that's.
He was trying to be overt.
Okay.
So he'll fly on down in the suit. Is he able to land safely?
Yeah, you take one look at this and you're not gonna you think landing on this would be a really bad idea. Now there are enough beams and such that you could climb down out of your suit to get to this platform. In fact, it looks like they've been positioned deliberately.
I will yell up to him. Rex, we are friends of the Sleeth. We have encountered them several times in your absence.
Rex will say to himself, I know this will end badly. He will park the suit. He's going to take a vibro blade and the laser pistol and the loincloth in hopes that there might be a Yexel around somewhere and head on down.
Okay. All right.
Preacher will pull out a little bag of herbs and spices that he has. He has his herbs and spices in like little individual per meal use pouch, like little things, and he'll he'll tell the Sleeth, "Where I am from, sir, it is customary for the guest to bring a little something for a what we called potluck. If I may be so bold, I would like to help prepare the meal."
You may add your spices, preacher, of course. And he gestures towards the where this is being prepared.
Preacher goes and immediately takes over the cooking area.
Okay, there is a big iron kettle over a like a drum cut in half filled with wood, and it's bubbling nicely. Thank you, Doom Sword. Thank you, Robert Phillips. New Glarus. And Doom Sword with a match. I appreciate it. Solomon Grundy want pants too. That's actually, there's a Cartoon Network reference. They did the Council of Doom having a meeting in the Hall of Doom or Hall of Injustice or whatever they called it from the Super Friends, and the point of order was that only Lex Luthor had pants. Everybody else had like tights and so on and etc. And Solomon Grundy started complaining that Solomon Grundy want pants too. Anyway, so yeah, you go over there, preacher, and you lift the lid off. There's some kind of insect being cooked in here. They're sort of curled up because of the heat. They'd be about this big, and there's 3 or 4 of them. The Grundy Pants Fun. Thank you, Jimmy Invictus. Jimmy Invictus fund Solomon Grundy pants. Solomon Grundy have to shop at Big and Tall store. But anyway,
They're Sears Rough Riders.
It doesn't look exactly like, but you could be forgiven for perhaps thinking that these little carapace things are roughly the same size and shape as the little deceased fellow that your friends were traveling with. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a earthy, gamey smell, and they're just boiling. Do you think there's some kind of tubers or something in there too? So cook away.
Nah, man, if we had one that was fresh, you'd be in for a real delicacy tonight.
The Sleeth kind of regards you for a moment. Okay.
Shake my head.
So you add some herbs and spices to it. The Sleeth that was essentially just kind of sitting there, more interested in keeping one hand on a sword, and occasionally looking out the window that's been cut down at the highway beneath you, than really doing any culinary stuff. So you taking over the cooking is not a big deal. I mean, there's only 6 Sleeth total. So he's more than content to let you go about your business there. When you first start putting stuff in there, he kind of like the telekinetic equivalent of shouting in your ear, "What is that?" Like forcefully reads the thoughts out of your head, and then immediately apologizes, saying, "I had to make sure that this was not some kind of poison that You were not trying to trick us. Please continue with your 7 herbs and spices.
Oh my gosh, Sean Connery. This is sweet.
No, not my intent. If it sounded like that. So yeah, you
Crossing the streams.
They have like. I mean, they don't have bowls or anything. They're literally just like holding these things in their hand and digging out the meat out of the shells with their claws, and they offer each of you it's a schleeth. Have some insect, old man. Yeah, they basically offer you these almost Bogo Jort sized pill bugs that you have to pry open. Now, I want to be clear to the audience, to fans of poor deceased Bogo, that these are not Bogo's relatives. They did not cook a pot of Bogo Jorts.
They're eating his family. Oh, the horror.
I'm saying they're roughly the same size and they have carapace. That's it. That's where, So,
they're like the roly-polies, huh?
And I would point out that maybe it was exactly the right time for Bogo to bite the dust, because apparently The Mandalorian Season 3 has not been very well received. But anyway, Land of the Lost, you guys are digging the Sleeth stack. Of course, I could go for the Star Trek, the Star Trek, the Gorn. They were invaders. Apparently, they turned the Gorn in one of the new Star Treks into like full on alien body horror, lay their eggs inside human level of awful. But I don't know. I only acknowledge Star Trek, the original series, the animated series, and 5 or 6 movies. Was it 6? Yeah, it was 6. 6 movies. So
does the herbs and stuff, does that make it at least smell better and a little more palatable?
We're eating bug stew. You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, the Sleeth are kind of nodding and thinking their approval at you. Oh, Crimson.
Lipstick on a pig, okay? Lipstick on a pig, people.
But yeah, it's you make it not completely awful.
Oh, that sounds like such an improvement.
Well, I mean, it's
it's not awful. It's just terrible.
It could be better. It could be better. I'll do that in the Sleeth voice for Crimson. We'll cross the streams, Alabama Sports and Gamma World. Alagama World. That's it. So that's our Tommy Rees.
That's a winner.
There.
Roll mutant.
Roll mutants. All right. So yeah, it's palatable. You get the feeling that without the herbs and spices, it would have no taste. Like it literally just, like boiled chicken.
It'd be like British food or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I'll just take this this piece of beef and boil it for a few hours.
Well, that's one way to cook it, I guess. Well, at least they couldn't burn it as if they grilled it.
All right. They appreciate the herbs and spices. An unexpected delicacy. Thank you, preacher. They wish to trade with you now. They will trade you. So you wish to have a light panel, yes?
We do.
I think it'd be real sweet on our vehicle.
They kind of look at each other intently and then look back at you and say, our bargain offer is this, Numbers Rab. We should like, in exchange for a light panel, your herbs and spices, all of them, please.
Well, that ain't up to me, but it sounds like a hell of a deal.
Preacher gladly starts pulling out the little packets of herbs, and he goes over and he says, now, these are pre-measured, and one grouping is for one meal. Now, if you would like to harvest your own, and then he goes into explaining what the plants look like and everything so they can harvest their own.
Yeah, they're nodding. The extract. Yes, extract. Harvest the extract. They listen intently and take every bit you have. And the one who's been doing most of the talking at this point, his name, by the way, is Kama, Kama. He kind of looks amongst the panels and says, an unexpected blessing from you, Numbers Rab, and you, Preacher. He like bows, like bends in half at the waist, deep enough to touch his head to the floor, and hands you the brightest of the panels.
Nice.
Kama,
Yes.
Would you by any chance happen to know where to find some atomic cells?
Atomic cells. Describe them to me. Rex Washington.
Rex will describe what the cells look like.
This ancient technology we do not know.
How about this one? I've been on the lookout, and I'll show him a hydrogen cell, one of the dead ones that I've got.
Or where one might come across them.
We have seen these here and again, but we do not possess any. It is said that the Orlan keep these. Sometimes they trade them, sometimes they do not.
Point of order, were the Orlan also psychic creatures?
Yes.
Okay.
Were they friendly?
You wouldn't.
That is something that I mean, Rex wouldn't necessarily know, but yeah. I mean, for game purposes, yes.
Okay.
And would you happen to know where we can find some of these Orlans?
They have small places, dwellings, towns, none here. This city of the ancients is very cursed. We do not like to remain here very long. There are energies. Yes, energies.
It definitely is a challenge.
They are dangerous. We come here to scavenge for trade with smaller villages where it is safe.
You have
I'd
any
like to take a
medical
moment.
supplies to trade?
Go ahead.
Would you have any medical supplies to possibly trade? We do have an injured.
Alas, we do not. Our bodies are different from yours. For example, these leaves, and he takes out a metal tube. It doesn't have any caps. He kind of pulls it out. It's just this big heart-shaped still faintly greenish and flexible leaf. These we chew to alleviate small pains or rub on injuries, but for humans, they kill most painfully.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Would you have any ammunition for my Betsy?
Show me in your mind what an ammunition for your Betsy is.
And he thinks of a, shotgun shell.
Okay. We do not know this ammunition, as you call it. We have seen none. We use the bow and the sword, not that we are averse to things such as this. But this is what we have. Plus, we have an emergency supply of ancient items that we would use only in the direst of situations.
So does this light panel? I'm gonna take a moment to inspect it. Does it have any sort of connectors or anything like that? The intent would be to be able to turn it off, and I'm wondering if I see anything like that.
So it's got, like I said, it's got some connection points on it here and again on the back that are, some are corroded and bent and all. Like imagine. It's like imagine you found like a 486 CPU or an old video game cartridge out on the beach, right? It's going to have bent and corroded pins and that sort of thing on it. So it's kind of in that condition.
Sure.
I mean, your character wouldn't necessarily know this, but to put this in terms rather than sit here and play ontological games for the next 45 minutes, you would have to test out each pin. You'd basically logic probe.
Right. Well, I knew that Bogo liked to collect wire, and I assume that it's still around his body and whatnot. And I was curious about connectors if I could play with that later on.
Sure, you might be able to do something like that. Certainly, they were slowly but surely starting to understand some of the technology back at Sanctuary.
Right.
What else do you have for trade, good sir? For I have something very, very valuable, more so valuable than the herbs.
So trade goods they've got some odds and ends. They've so the holes for windows in this place, they've actually used some kind of adhesive to stick transparent steel tiles in, so they're actual windows, and they have some of those left over. So if you basically think of like a durable safety glass, they have some of those. They have a few intact bottles and metal containers. Just some curious odds and ends. They've got a globe that's got a big dent in one side. It literally looks like somebody punched a globe. You're not sure what this person might have had against the Indian Ocean, but that's where they punched it. a curious, delicate thing about the length of your hand that looks for all the world like an ancient vehicle. It's got 4 wheels in the front, 4 wheels in the back. It's red and green and painted in tiny letters on the side. It says Southern Central Freight. Some bent forks that they have. Well, not bent. Just some various forks that they have like stuck into a board decoratively. We have no idea what these are for, and given that you saw them eating with their hands, that kind of follows. They have some kind of a helmet that has like cables and wires coming out of the side rear of it that sort of trail behind. It looks like it might have had something on either side of it that rotated, but that's broken off. There's just 2 turny parts with some sort of darkened, like tinted plastic shards sticking up. And that is really what they have.
I kind of look it over, nod.
Does
and move on.
anybody want that helmet? Because if you do, I'll trade to get it for whoever wants it. I don't want it, but if somebody else wants it, I'll trade so y'all can have the
No,
helmet.
I don't need a helmet.
No, I don't think so.
I'm happy.
You offer a fine spread of a selection, sir, but unfortunately, there is nothing here that could assist us while we travel the great lands. But in parting, I will give you the most valuable thing I have as a gift of your hospitality. And I think about the recipe for my fried chicken.
Okay. They look at each other and nod. You kind of get the feeling that they're basically mentally passing that between them so that they understand. We shall attempt to make Colonel Preacher's Lanta fried digworm.
It's incomparable.
A prize beyond all prizes. So, Sleeve.
It might make it hard to eat anything else, actually.
Indeed. Have you seen these followers of entropy? Bad folk, those.
Followers of entropy. No, we have not heard of followers of entropy. Show us what followers of entropy are.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't take a head with me. I figured it would stink after a bit. They don't care about anything.
Mentally think it, dude.
All right, well, I'll mentally think it then.
He kind of shudders when he says, violent slayers, but no, we do not know these friends of entropy.
Stay away from them or slay them all upon sight.
Yes. If they are near this place, all technological places like this, cities of the ancients, are a danger. We will not remain here.
Have you any rumors yourself?
We have heard nothing. We occasionally see nomadic tribes, and they are friendly and trade with us. But all is the same. Radiation storms, dangerous creatures, few villages. It is a sad state of affairs of the world.
Part and parcel for these times.
Yes.
Good thing I live for this stuff.
Would it be too much to impose more upon your hospitality, good sir, to perhaps let us camp here with you for tonight? We can share and watch to keep the unwanted, unwashed heathens away.
Of course, your companionship is gladly accepted. Your companion, Do-Re-Mi, is he safe below?
Numbers? Rex? Thoughts?
Yeah, he's safe. At the moment, he's a little under the weather, you know. Got a nice head bump, got a nice neck creak, got a nice broken rib or two or something like that. I don't know.
Do we have a car alarm?
There actually is a security system in the car.
We can spend
Let's
the
turn
night.
it on.
Rex will say to the Sleeth, "Don't be reading my mind when I'm dreaming."
Oh, no, of course not. We would never do such a thing. That is the action of a real weirdo, as we have heard humans call it. At the same time, please do not make me look into parts of your mind that you would not willingly tell a person with your own voice.
Yeah, I thought I had to give you permission for that.
You would be surprised how often people are careless with their thoughts.
Well, then I'm surprised you're my friend.
There are many surprises.
TMI.
Okay, so after eating and
So
making...
I think, do they lay eggs or do they have live birth? For just a second. Because it's my medical thing going on.
Unfortunately for 077, we are not compatible in that way. However, if you must know, it is a combination of both.
Okay, good to know.
So the Sleeth will basically double up watch with you guys overnight, and we'll just make a few rolls here.
And so the question was, if Doe was safe by himself, did anybody go down there? If not, I'll climb back down that rope and I'll hang out in the car with him.
Okay. So the night comes, you think you hear something, Numbers, but when you flip on your snoopers and scan around, you see it's literally just a breeze, like blowing a piece of curled sheet metal, like clanking against the wreck of another vehicle off like 10 lanes over.
All right. I'm going to officially call them snoopers from now on. I like that. I was looking for a term.
I borrowed that from Starship Troopers. That is what they called the IR radar UV heads-up display goggles built into the armor. They called them snoopers.
Nice.
All right. Okay, dawn comes and you're all well rested. Nothing untoward happened.
I'll fly down and see if I can treat Do-Re-Mi a little more.
Well, he regains 1 hit point for his rest in the car. The car, he was actually able to put the seat back, like climbed over into the driver's seat and just tilted that all the way back, and it's got adjustable settings and everything, and Do-Re-Mi was able to suss that out like that.
You put the heater on.
It essentially turned it into a bed, like a super single bed, and he slept very well. So he got a hit point back, and I know Numbers had taken some damage, so you got a hit point back for your rest. In fact, everybody gets a hit point back.
Nice.
Woohoo!
I do declare.
So if you took any damage in the last battle, you get a hit point back. So what now? The Sleeth they're not leaving this they're not like packing up and leaving their bolt hole here, but they say, we will move with the light of the sun and search and scavenge for other items here in Lanta, and then return to this place. If we see you when we return, then we will greet you gladly. Otherwise, fare you well wherever you fare. And they depart.
Fare thee well, Sleeth, until we meet again.
Yes.
I give him a thumbs up.
All right.
Preacher goes and gives him a handshake and hugs the one that was in the kitchen with him.
Okay. He just, thank you. And again, they head on out. So, whither goest thou, group?
I guess to the area we were scouting before. That's kind of where we were heading when we encountered them. So we'll keep going
Yeah, I guess.
and look
Yeah.
for fuel and basically batteries along the way.
Okay, well, fuel and batteries. Fuel and batteries are not immediately forthcoming. You travel on this ancient roadway, and again, it's more of the same. You go for about maybe a half an hour of relatively trouble-free driving. I got to drive around that wreck and drive around, and then it's like it's just gone. Like an upper deck collapsed on the lower deck, so you got to turn around, come back, find out another way to get on it. You guys know how driving in Atlanta is. But it's no different after the Gamma Wars.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Peachtree and Underground Atlanta, but I can't say it.
Well, Underground Atlanta is just crammed full of skeletons, so
Good.
But you continue your drive. You go for maybe another hour of switchbacks and getting back on and going to the south. And finally, you kind of go over, you take an overpass. And going over the overpass, you now see the vast expanse of ruins before you that 4077 had described.
I stopped the car.
So there in the early morning sun, you can see huge huge stretches of just vast expanse of the ancient man-made stonework and alloys. Pocked here and again, you see blast craters dotting that landscape. This is almost as large as the heart of Lanta behind you. There are domes. There are multiple domes. Some of them are partially collapsed. And there's a rusted, half-melted sign hanging at an angle. And it reads here. I'll type it in the chat and then put it up on the screen.
Sweet.
So that's what you see.
Well, spaceport should have high technology. Who knows? Maybe we'll even get to go to the moon.
Hey, I'm game. So the ruins are pretty flat, right?
Some of them are flat. Some of them, like I said, there's from this distance, maybe some intact outer structures. There are the domes. There are some of those that are intact. You're just not you're not 100% sure from this distance.
I'll say I'll scout. Give me a second. I'll fly up carefully, watching for any movement in that to make sure I don't get attacked. And I'll look around again.
All right.
If there's any kind of movement, I am flying back down fast as I can to back to my allies.
Okay.
Shouting incoming at the same time.
So maybe 150 meters up the road. Come on. You see, just kind of lounging amongst the ruins that are scattered across the road, a number of hoop, which, of course, for those of you who are not familiar with Gamma World, hoop are 2.6 meter tall, mutated rabbitoid creatures. They... Let's see. They kind of look in your direction and point. They're far enough away that you can't hear what they're saying, but faintly in your mind, you kind of hear this sort of, "Hey, what's that?" And one thing you note is one of them just as you spied them, touched the wreckage of a vehicle, which is jagged metal and alloys and stuff. He touched it, and then jumped up on it and laid on it like it was a comfortable mattress. And it gave and flexed under his weight.
Okay. I'll fly back and share that with the group. Yeah, there's these creatures ahead. They're kind of rabbitoid looking.
Well, you guys had
Very large and
encountered Hoop.
powerful.
You guys had encountered Hoop before at the car
Okay.
dealer where you.
Oh, okay. I'll say there's Hoop here. I know you were able to communicate and do an alliance with them, so maybe you can do your magic again.
Who's that?
The Hoop.
Yeah, who had the magic?
You did, didn't you? You were talking to him?
Yeah, but that wasn't fun though.
Doesn't have to be fun. It just has to be practical.
It wasn't practical either. Whatever.
You want to put Rex in charge? Go for it.
Maybe he'll just blast them to blast them away. Yeah, I'll talk to him. Whatever.
Yeah, considering how strong they are, we might want to try friendly first. I just saw one almost crush a vehicle, making it into a bed. So yeah.
If all else fails, there is an old family recipe that calls for Hassenpfeffer that I have been dying to try out.
Oh my god. Possible allies. Let's talk about cooking them. Really?
Yeah, I'll eat it when you come back.
Okay, so as you guys are discussing this, bounding out from behind the rubble, leaping over flipped over trucks and such, is this this band of Hoop.
And I look at Preacher and I give him the stop sign. Stop. We'll talk about this later.
And immediately you all hear in your minds, you're kind of getting used to it now, having people speak straight into your minds. Who goes there? Who's that?
I remember these guys.
What's the meaning of this?
I look at numbers. This is your stick, dude.
Look into my mind. Surely you'll remember the times that we have dealt with you in the past.
That wasn't us, Sonny, but yes, we see that you've met others of our kind. I also see that you have several technological weapons. Perhaps you'd like to let us have some.
There ain't no have in this world, partner. Trade, perhaps. As you clearly know, we're not pushovers. I ain't giving nothing away for free.
Of course not, Sonny. Wouldn't expect you to. Tell you what, since you seem to be looking for stuff, at least as far as we can tell, there's maybe a chance we might have something you're looking for. Would love to have one of those blasters, or that's nice looking armor your friend is in there. I don't suppose it would fit a Hoop, would it?
I'm afraid
It
not.
don't look like it. Yeah, and he ain't parting with it. We do actually. We've got something that you can make a helmet out of. You know, I considered it myself, but I ain't really sure. But what you got? You ain't getting my rifle.
I do have
Unless you
here.
have something real special.
I do have a gun here.
What you got there? Let's have a look at that 4077.
I offer up the poor condition gun that I picked up.
All right, they look at it, turn it over in their hands. He kind of rubs the hair on his chin. Little wordplay for you there. And says,
Little chinny chin chin.
got any ammunition for this here piece?
Unfortunately not.
He hands it back and says, then I'll pass. We're looking for stuff that works. You see, we only have a few ourselves, and that's when you notice that some of them are unslinging various weapons of destruction, like maybe, let's see. Yeah, about half of them have got pistols and rifles. But they're not.
I am.
Crossbow.
They do have them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna slowly brandish my rifle and hold it kind of down, pointed downward at the ready.
Ported arms, I think, is that what that is? You kind of put down like that.
Yeah, I think so. You're the expert on that.
All right.
I show off the crossbow. I said, I picked this up too.
No, sweetheart. That's not what we're after. It's more of a. It's more of a blasters and long range rifles and that sort of thing to keep the bad guys away.
I understand that. I figured lower technology has less chance of breaking, and you can kind of come up with your own ammunition. What do I know?
So you're not willing to trade any of your weapons other than one that doesn't have any ammunition?
I'm a medic. I just pick these things up. I don't really fight.
You might have a short life in this world. Good night, Lux.
Yeah, but we all got short lives in this world.
Well, of course.
I think our business here is done.
Well, best of luck to you, Sonny. Come on, boys. And with that, they bound around you.
That's good.
Interesting bunch, aren't they? Rather hoppity.
Yeah, I feel like we need to be the lookout for them.
Makes me think they have some good stuff.
Oh, I'm sure they do, but to get it would be too costly.
And they think we got some good stuff. I'm just happy they decided to move on.
All we need are some giant carrots. And some poison.
And some eggs in different colors.
Preacher sighs and just says, grilled Hassenpfeffer, it is a delicacy.
I don't know if that constitutes cannibalism or not, though. But we can ask the important questions later.
Generally, you don't talk to your meals, I think, but that's a personal preference.
Okay, so do you get back in your vehicles and continue?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right. So you're able to get, like you go another half kilometer, and you can see where the hoop were relaxing. The one that that one of them jumped on and was reclining on, the one of the wrecks, is it's entirely rubber. Like it looks like a demolished car, but it is soft, springy rubber. It's kind of distressing. You're able to get about another half kilometer, and in a line across the entire 20 lanes here, There are blasted, destroyed. In fact, it looks like they've been kind of pushed backwards, like they were sort of shoved up in almost a rampart, blocking you. If you're going to continue in this direction, you'll have to go on foot.
Rex, you can't clear this stuff out of the way.
Could Rex clear the stuff?
Rex can certainly try.
All right,
Let
we'll
Rex
give it a
try.
go.
All right. And by the way, Rex, okay, let me ask you, how have you been in your powered armor? Have you had it switched on, sitting on the trailer, or what?
It is generally off on the trailer unless we encounter some other beings, in which case we'll turn it off.
Okay.
But he's trying to conserve power as much as possible.
No, I gotcha. All right. So, yeah, you can start dragging and pulling things out of the way, and you realize that this wasn't like pushed up as a defense. The stuff has been like blasted here. Like some kind of blast wave just shoved vehicles and wreckage and that sort of thing.
Should I check out how far it goes to see if it's even worthwhile to keep going?
That would be a good
That
idea,
is-
4077.
All right. I'll fly up again, cautiously, mindfully, attentively.
They used to have this saying in my place of residence about something about a blind squirrel or whatever. I don't even know what that is, but they used to say it.
So how far does this
So
blockade go?
the wreckage pile is maybe only 30 meters deep, and it's very irregular. Like here, it's just like a trailer that's been kind of crushed and flattened, and then there are other places where it's just like a pile of cars that's like just, it's like I said, it's not a nice even distribution of wrecked vehicles.
So if we can get a path through this, then we seem to have a way to continue on beyond it for as far as I can see.
Well, looking over the path that leads into the spaceport area, the ancient highway beyond that, or ancient road, is also shoved up. You are looking into about a 100-meter wide by you don't know how many meters deep crater.
So
what is your
spaceport is
constitution?
No more.
No, the spaceport's still there. The spaceport didn't go away just in that short of time. I'm just saying something landed here and cratered the roadway and caused this damage.
Oh, so there's a crater.
What's your constitution?
Between us and the spaceport.
Between you and continuing on to the spaceport, yes. And what is your constitution, please?
12.
12. Let's see.
You have 6 new legs.
Yeah, you just got caught with a note in the class, passing it around.
And unfortunately, they are all growing out of your mouth.
Your wings have grown a set of wings. Congratulations.
Now they have claws at the end.
They've grown a set of bogos.
Oh my, that would be hard.
There's some Cronenbergian body horror there. Okay. You're not sure what made this crater. But
So I'm
as
feeling the effects from the crater.
you are not. You are not feeling any effects from the crater.
Okay. I'll fly back.
And Rex, you are dragging. You're still dragging wreckage out of the way. Let's see.
Just enough
As I
to make
pass him,
room for the
I'll
guard.
say we might want to regroup here. I have some intel.
So he will stop when she says that.
Okay.
I'll report back what I found. Not sure what this thing is. It's a huge crater here. It's between us and the spaceport.
Rex will use his UV vision to see if, well, actually, he'll use his radiation detection sensor to see if he detects radiation coming from that area.
From the crater immediately? No, you don't.
I'll use my radiation scanner on myself.
You're no more radioactive than you usually are. I mean, you all pretty much walk around in low-grade fallout dust all the time. So,
Okay. I don't know if flying over I'd pick something up, but
no. You've all got a very healthy glow.
it's neon.
So on the other side of the crater, you can see in the distance, because now Rex has moved out the wreckage, the vast expanses of open areas. There's what looks like some kind of perimeter wall it's knocked down in a few places. The road kind of crosses under and over itself. There are the melted remains of signs. The road that sort of goes up seems to go to the right of the domes. Goes under, goes around to the left, and across the vast landscape you see obvious machinery, ruins, and so on and etc. So that is where we're going to leave it, on a bit of a cliffhanger tonight, as you stand at the ruins of the Lanta Hartsfield International Spaceport. So we'll be back, not next Friday, but we'll be back the following Friday, because, again, Friday I will be in lovely downtown Lake Geneva. Actually, I think I'll be kind of off in the suburbs. But anyhow,
Lake Geneva doesn't have suburbs. What are you talking about?
it is a suburb.
Yeah, congrats, man. Anyways, I wanted to say that.
Thank you, of course, to everyone who's contributed. Now, I'll be back Monday and Tuesday, and Doomsword will be in the AD&D game on Tuesday evening. But until then, guys, be good to each other, and we'll catch you all on the flip side. And hey, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please click that subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. Remember, you can support us on Patreon or Subscribestar or directly through PayPal or buy me a coffee. The links, of course, were below. You might have to scroll back a little bit to see them. But until then, again, thank you very much to my players. Thank you to everyone who watches. I'll probably be back with a video, like a pre-recorded video tomorrow. There's a little bit of a subject I wanted to discuss, but not enough to do a whole live stream on it. You guys know how it is. But until then, thank you all. Thank you for the supers, by the way, guys. That was super decent of you. So we'll see you next time. Y'all take care.
Night, peeps.
Night, everyone.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
Good day.
Have you seen my owl bear? all the weirdos everywhere, in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around, some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Make it as a toad all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.